First time in Ireland.
My folks
came here for their honeymoon. Always wanted to come back.
Novelist Owen Ballman, played by Adam Scott, retreats to a remote Irish inn to scatter his parents' ashes. Along the way, he's consumed by a tale of a witch that haunts the honeymoon suite and the disappearance of one of the inn's staff. Today, we are talking about the 2026 supernatural horror film Hokum, written and directed by Damian McCarthy. Let's get into it. I gotta sit there and say, this film is number one on my list for the best horror film of 2026. We're only so far into the year, and I'm already throwing it out there. I have not had so much fun with a horror film in such a long time, especially a modern horror film. I really did enjoy Nosferatu back in Christmas of 2024. That was really, really fun. It hit the nostalgic marks of the Gothic love as well as just the love for Nosferatu. But again, that's like a remake, where this feels a lot more refreshing. The story of Hokum is about Adam Scott's character, Owen Ballman, trying to sit there and forgive his past, trying to forgive himself for the murder of his mom, the reason his father became an alcoholic, and the way that he's become so bitter in life as a writer for someone that is highly praised throughout the early parts of the film of, oh my God, you're a writer. Oh, I'm a big fan of your books. And none of that really brings him any joy. And his entire stay here, Fiona's death being the reason that he sticks around and ends up actually facing his own inner demons. A lot of what this story is facing your own inner demons in order to seek forgiveness from not just the person you have obviously harmed, but for yourself as well. And that's, I think, the key thing with Adam Scott's character is, can he forgive himself by the end of this film? And one thing I really, really enjoy about this movie is I guess you would say prologue, epilogue, where we get this conquistador story that he's writing. He's trying to write the end of it. And in a sense, it's still an epilogue. It's an epilogue at the beginning and it's an epilogue at the end. That is the name of the chapter. And what we watch on here is obviously the evolution of his character throughout this film. We get a sense of hope by the end of this movie that, you know, we kind of think like, oh my God, like he's going to allow his childhood to kill his future self, which are in these characters. But along the way, he kind of does learn it's like, this is not the way to do it. You have to kind of love yourself. You do have to forgive yourself. And it reminds me of another really great ghost story that I've seen. And this is by no means my way of trying to segue to talk about another movie. But, you know, again, this is one of my favorite movies ever. And I see this in this movie. And that is Peter Medic's The Changeling. The Changeling was a story about a music teacher who watches his wife and child die in an automobile accident. He is sadly the only one that survives this because he's the only sole witness from outside the car. And through this, he moves out. He tries to move on with his life, but he's still miserable. He's still struggling with this huge loss in his life. Whereas more or less Adam's character, it's more he's just kind of learned to live with it, but he's still haunted by it. And so the music teacher in The Changeling, played by George C. Scott, ends up renting out this home that is haunted by a child spirit. And this child spirit is using him as a conduit to essentially get back at the person who is pretending to be the child as a grown adult. And there's this whole conspiracy and everything else is being revealed. And a lot of that is very much what Hokum is, because you come into this thinking it's going to be a depressing A24 style film. You know, it is distributed by Neon. And to me, Neon is like, you know, it's been half and half good films, bad films for me, at least in the horror aspect to it. But it slowly starts unfolding. It goes from being a normal supernatural horror film to being a little bit of a folklore horror film with this witch being introduced and dragging people down the hell. Absolutely freaking love it. It's beautiful visuals. And by the end of the day, like, by the end of the day, this was one of those films that I could definitely sit there and say, I will go back and rewatch it again. I actually did rewatch it right before recording so that I had a fresher take on it. I absolutely loved it. And one thing I will sit there and say is from my experience with this film, it's the first time I saw it last month. I was like, this is a unique experience. This is an interesting film. My buddy Steven wanted me to review it. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, like I can do it. Like, I really want to sit there and retreat this film. And so today when I rewatched it, I'm focusing, and I picked up so much foreshadowing was done amazing in this film. It's it feels criminal that I did not pick up on it on the first time, but the second time, trying not to analyze it or anything, just trying to see if I can recreate that same first experience as I had the first time. I think this film was far better the second time watching it. And that doesn't mean that, oh, hey, you're watching this, you're not going to understand this the first time. No, I think a lot of people can probably pick up on that a lot quicker than I can. I sometimes need 2 or 3 more viewings. That's just how my brain works. But it's just beautiful that you have a great story to be told when upon second viewing, you fall in love with it even more. It goes from general curiosity and interest from the first watch to this is number one. This is number one on my list. I absolutely love it. Um, and I think that speaks for a film. Not a lot of modern horror films do this for me. Usually it's kind of a one and done, and it's like, oh, okay. You know, show me what's next. What do you got? This is Damian McCarthy's third outing as for a feature length. And a lot of the mystery in the world that I actually really enjoyed in this film, I was like, wow, this reminds me of another film I saw years back called Caveat. And I'm all like, wait, this is the guy who did Caveat, because you can see some of his director influence and his writing. And the only film now of his that now I must see is Oddity, which came out back in 2024. This man has 3 feature films to his names, a whole ton of short films. Watching Hokum really makes me want to just go back and see where the man got everything started, see everything that's brand new to me, and maybe even revisit Caveat, because that was a really good creepy horror film that I saw on Shudder. What do you guys sit there and think about this film? I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars over on Letterboxd. Again, it's a fun film. I think everyone should watch it. I think this is a sign too that for modern horror films that these films can be fun again. They can't always just be dreary, depressing, tragic stories. Is that, they can just be fun. And I feel like that's the one thing that we're missing an awful lot with cinema just today. It's everything else is taking itself way too seriously. And I think this film does very, very well to be serious when it needs to be, but also have a lot of fun and give you scares when the scares are much needed and not overstuffing it whatsoever. What do you guys think? I know I've already asked you, but we're going to wrap it up. Show me your thoughts down in the comments below, and I will catch you guys all next time.